Okay, welcome to World Class Card Fighters' third podcast. Now with 400% more Aussies. Today we'll be talking about what happened at Melbourne BCS, and we're joined with some familiar faces: David, Adipratama, Derick Dao, me, Kai Cheong, and two new faces from Australia: Andy Liu and Toby Jones. And
Yo.
Both players are going to go to Worlds this year, and we'll just start with intros. So, Andy, let's start with you. Tell us a bit about yourself.
Hi, my name's Andy, and I am from Sydney. My favorite clans I like to play in Vanguard is Bermuda Triangle because I like girls. As Kai said, I am going to Worlds. I'm going to Worlds for Standard. This year, I've qualified in New Zealand, coming third. And past achievements, this will be my third Worlds appearance. I've been previously once for Weiss in 2014, where I came second. And then last year for Vanguard, where I topped 8. And hopefully this year I'll do better.
All right, cool. Toby, what about you?
Nice. So, my name's Toby. Currently living in Melbourne, but stuck in Queensland at the moment due to unforeseen circumstances, but that's all right. Internet's bad, but we'll make do. So I've been playing for about 3 years now. My favourite clan is Gear Chronicle, coming with the second of Royal Paladin. So I'm really keen for Gears to come out, but super bummed out that it's not too great, so whatever. So I'm going to Worlds for Standard Vanguard. I came first in the BCS Melbourne, and so it'll be my first Worlds appearance. And previous achievements, the only big one to date is top 4 in BWC Melbourne in 2016. Other than that, 2017 was a bum year. Don't really want to talk about that, but that's all right.
All right. Okay. So let's just jump right into it, guys. We'll go straight to Melbourne BCS. We'll start with Standard. How did everyone do in Standard?
I lost to Tochikaze.
I know Derick had a very close run coming in.
It was pretty crazy. I went, I think, 2 losses at the end of round 5, and pretty much had to round six. Yeah, and then had to try with my last 2 games. I did, and then got cut off at 9th place, which
hard bubble.
Pretty sad.
With Melbourne, I know me and Derick took Shadow instead of Murakumo, which is the most popular choice. Well, one of the most popular choices. What was your thoughts going into it, taking Shadow instead of Murakumo?
Okay, so my thought process behind that was I had a buy code, so I got the first 2 rounds off. So which means that all the OTT players would hopefully be matched up with all the Murakumo players, and then they would try to sweep all the OTT out. So then the only clan that is left would probably be Murakumo or anything that I guess would be at a disadvantage to Shadow Paladin. So like Excel decks, whatever it may be, because obviously Excel decks beat protects most of the time. So yeah, going in with Shadows, it was I guess a countermeasure to those Excel decks, and obviously Murakumo being one of the top played decks there. I guess its subpar weakness would be Shadow Paladin, so I guess I took a gamble in that one.
Okay, all right, cool. And then we have the winner. Toby actually won the entire event. And he took Murakumo's, and we have his deck profile posted a couple of days ago. But what were some extra thoughts you want to add into taking Murakumo's into Standard?
Yep. So obviously it was one of the most popular choices that you could take. Obviously being the most dominant force that there is pre ultra rare, seeing the fact of no clan could have superior road to Vanguard. And then obviously the new set comes out and pretty much 2 out of the 3 sort of stomp on it. So it's not really the best there. But for the meta that it was in, it was a really good call. Again, like I said in the video, the hardest matchup obviously is Shadows, but again, I felt confident in the play style that I could formulate, and just playing around how the deck sort of progressed against it as well. I could feel like I can just pace myself nicely against it. So I think I went up against Shadows 3 rounds in Swiss, and I beat every single one of them. Sorry, Derick, I think you were one of them.
Yeah, my first loss, actually.
Yeah, I tried to carry you up. Sorry, my bad.
It's all right, don't worry.
Yeah,
Well,
so
what do you think of the what do you think of like the Murakuma versus Shadow matchup in that respect then? Because although people say Shadow is favored, what do you actually think of that matchup there?
Yeah, so it takes a lot more brain power and a lot more playing around different sort of strategies. Some games, one of the games I won was through deck out, is by letting Shadows try to seem like they had a favorable push against me and keep up with the momentum fact when I can still hold off a lot of different things and pretty much just attack their rear guards, let them mitigate themselves and try to rush and push as hard as possible, remaining even triggers out just to try and know that they can push me harder and harder, and then got to a point where they're like, oh, got no deck, and Murakuma can just sort of superior call its own units turn by turn, so you don't have to worry about using too much hand to still keep a board presence to attack rear guards and try to control the game state. So it handles pretty well. And the game pattern as well is it's usually either, if they're on a Phantom Blaster Dragon, either call 1, 2, or above 5+ units to the board if you have Axel Circles, because they have to either commit more resources for not enough gain, or you have enough field presence to not have an extra damage push, which can be difficult against a force deck with the Axel deck. So it's interesting depending on how the board state is, but a lot of it's just playing as the situation unfolds. But I felt like I could confidently do that, and it did play off.
Okay, all right, cool. Is anyone else want to add anything to?
I think like if you look a bit about the statistics, I think Shadow was one of the most used clans at Melbourne. I think and it's a funny thing that Murakuma actually fell off. Well, it's not even in the top 3 according to some of the statistics. So it's actually.
I'll just bring up the statistics right now. This is not including buy cards, but with buy cards, I think there was 130 plus people, but I think with buy cards it would be like 140. I think that's about correct.
Yeah, it's about.
So not including any of the buy cards, it was top played deck was 21 Royal Paladin decks, followed by 20 Shadow Paladin decks, and then 17 Oracle Think Tanks, with Kagura coming 4th at 16 with 16. And Murakuma in 5th with 14. So if we then count, I think with the 10 buy cards, I think off the top of my head, I can already think of probably like three Murakumas immediately. So I think with buy cards, it might actually make the push the numbers a bit closer. So I think Shadow Paladins will then come first, probably with Murakuma coming up to like 3rd, maybe. So what do you think of actually just Royals in general in this meta?
Well, Excalibate is a very, very good card, and most of the time, if you're able to get into Excalibate, you should win most of your matchups, including like Shadow, especially against Shadow. Against Murakuma, it is a bit hard, so it's you just hope you don't play against Murakuma, in my opinion. I think against like all the other top decks, it has a very good chance of winning. It's just Murakuma is like anti-fun dot deck.
What do you think of the Oracles that were there? Because one came second. One actually did come second. Oracle.
Well, considering the number of Shadow Paladins there was on the weekend, I think taking Oracles just to knock out all the Shadows was like, yeah, pretty good, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like, well, Paladins as a whole, Royals, Shadows, Gold, substantially, just very beginner-friendly decks. And so Standard, obviously, is a beginner-friendly format. A lot of people are able to learn the game, come in, and Paladins are the easiest deck to pick up. They all have trial decks and more appealing to a lot of people. So I feel like they're a popular choice just for that factor alone. And obviously, Shadow Paladin has great matchups to a lot of the meta as well. So you can understand and see why that's a popular pick and a good choice to go by, just based around some of those figures.
Okay, all right. Is there anything else you want to add for?
I think one of the biggest questions that a lot of people would ask is why did both what do you guys think of the Shadow Paladin vs Oracle Fintech matchup, and how much did that contribute to your decision to bring that deck for the weekend?
So I took Shadow, and I was actually kind of fine with the Oracle Shadow matchup, as long as they didn't get a 10 they weren't 10 damage oracles. But unfortunately, I think the second round I faced one. It was pretty sad. It's favored for Oracle, just because you need specific cards for Shadow to actually make a push to make the game competitive. But and if you don't get it, they have a good chance to just kind of snowball their way through. But if you do, you kind of have a decent chance unless they start getting their heal triggers. So it's not as bad as you'd probably think as an auto win for Oracle. Derick, your thoughts? Or?
Honestly saying, I did go in with Shadow Paladin, and my mindset was dodge all the OTT. So the first 3 rounds I played were all 3 Murakumo with Toby at the end and pretty much giving them a hurt slot. Yeah, it was play, dodge the OTT. Well, for me anyways. I don't know about everybody else, but by the end of it, I versed, I think, 70% Murakumo and 1 Mega Colony. So it was a bit oddball. But yeah, I did see a lot of OTTs just get smothered early on by Murakumo. So yeah, I think bringing Shadow Paladin, for me, was a confident pick for me.
I think one point with these 2 Paladin decks, like Royal and Shadow, is your Dark Dictator and Alfred. They both serve as on second ride or on first ride. They count as basically 2 force markers. So it helps in that matchup to just keep on getting more threats on the board and making them drop more cards. So I can see why you'd take Royals, and then Royal has a field clear now, so that also helps in that matchup too. So I can see why if you're confident in playing Force against this matchup, you can just take it and not feel too bad.
Yeah, so the numbers for Royals, excluding the buy cards, looks at 21. And I think the reason why that number is so high is because most of the people who joined this BCS, say about maybe 40-50% of those people, initially started when Q4 came out. Right, so they would have access to, I guess, one of the first decks, and Royal being a trial deck, it's one of the easiest clans to just pick up. Yeah. And in comparison to Kagero, Waterfall was quite expensive in comparison to Alfred, so Alfred was pretty affordable. And also, people just want to enter to play for fun, right? So they just want to go in, grab the freebies, and pretty much walk out. So they don't want to play a brain-intensive deck. So Royals is pretty straightforward, pretty brain-dead deck. And it's not it's the worst deck. It's actually a sleeper deck. If you Soul Saver Dragon on 3rd turn, and they can't guard, it's pretty much GG, right? So I guess you have that surprising factor, which makes it, viable to play.
Okay, all right. I guess with that said, shall we move on to Premium?
Yeah, I guess so.
All right, so the next day was Premium, and Derick won the entire event. WCC actually had a pretty good showing. Derick came first. Kelvin Yap came second, and Toby also top 8, and I top 8, and Ken Takahata also top 8. Yeah, so we took five slots there, and let's ask our Premium Master David Adipratama if he had any thoughts before we start spewing statistics, and see what he thinks.
Yeah, so pretty much like before the day, we got to practice a lot with Kai here, with Derick, discuss as well with everyone from WCC, and I got some gameplay with Melbourne people. Pretty much expected top 8, gonna be a lot of NLKs, probably about 50% of the top 8. Expect some Luars as well, expect some Royals, and I think it's not that far from what we got on Sunday. I think we got two Royals, right? Toby and Jimmy, he came third, and then we got Kai got NLK, Derick NLK, Kelvin NLK, and I think it was only three NLK, right?
Any free NLK.
Three NLK, and on OTT Gize, one Pale Moon, which we will be talking about it later.
And
what's
Luad.
the other one? And one more.
Luad.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, so just a quick statistic, there was 71 people playing at Premium that day. There weren't that many buy cards for that, but I think this already includes the buy cards, this number. So we'll keep it at that. Based on, we'll just go through everyone's deck choices here. Maybe we'll start with Andy. But basically, what deck you brought and why you brought it, and maybe if it worked out or not.
So for this event, I brought. I knew NLK was going to be the most dominant deck, so I brought the hard counter to NLK. It's Mega Colony Gize.
Yeah.
This deck hoses NLK. Against a good NLK player, they have to get lucky to beat you. Otherwise, against every other NLK player, you have like a 90% chance to win. The problem with this deck is you have a 50-50 matchup against everything else. And I was actually doing pretty well. Round 1 I played against NLK, but unfortunately I lost my round 3 to time against Geek Chronicles, because my opponent played pretty slow because he didn't know how to play against this matchup. And because I went to time, if there was one more turn, if I had the last turn of time, I would have won. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case. And because I had the loss, I then played against all these random decks, which my deck don't do anything against. So unfortunately, I went X3. But yeah, I think like Mega Colony Gize it's a good deck if all you wanted to face is decks that are NLK or decks that counter NLK, like Kagero and mainly Kagero, right? Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sure. All right, Toby, what about you? I think you took Blasters?
Yeah, I took my Real Paladin deck. So the main thought process behind that was a combination of me not wanting to use a lot of brain power going into day 2 of the event, and me being confident with Real Paladin as a whole clan. So that was a fine spot there. And yeah, so it was a pretty right day. Only I could say some misplays and some just out of the wall decisions anyway, with some memes coming out of it from the whole event, which was pretty great. Seeing how I forgot my force markers coming into round 3, and what was it, round 4, starting on an Alfred early. So, progressively starting off as a good day, going into that out of the bye rounds and me already being dead from the day before. But yeah, just in the case of the matchups anyway, pretty much just went up against 2 NLKs the whole day, and in Swiss, and the whole brain pattern was to pretty much just rush them. So pretty much just deplete their hand, call whole board, because the less hand NLK has progressively riding up to grade 3, the less they can do early on, and so I can kind of like out advantage them from that fact if they can't build up enough pressure to be able to kill me in a good instance. So because of that strat paying off, when they try to at least do a loop, they get to a point where they can't proficiently do a whole loop because their deck is so low and they can't do anything. And I'm able to survive from that fact and be able to just do a blaster thing of, just flogels and crits, and there you go. So pretty much it's just Blaster Blade Flogel deck. It's pretty simple, secrets, happy days. But my deck build was a bit interesting because I played around some combos to do some extended attacks depending on the matchup. So, like, for example, round 3, I went against Spark Brothers, and I went from 2 to 5 on his first stride turn. He had like 7 cards in hand, and then I proceeded to do a 5-card attack before even a Blaster Blade restand. So yeah, that's just kind of how my deck build is, and sort of like how that sort of was taken pretty easy. And then so going into top 8, went against Derick obviously, and the game state went a little bit differently because he had very good hands and I just sort of had and no triggers, and no triggers with rules just don't mix. So, that's just kind of how it went, which is fine because I'm mainly just happy about getting the Chrono Job mat for top 8. So, just smile on there.
All right, cool. I'll go with you, Derick, and then I'll finish it off with my one, and I'll talk about Ken's and Kelvin's as well.
No worries. So NLK, I brought NLK. Pretty busted deck. I guess I was more afraid of Andy's deck more than any other deck in the tournament. I'm actually happy he went X3, so I never would play him.
Wow, this guy!
That deck is actually ridiculous. Like, I played against him at least 10-15 times the night before, and oh my god, like, that win rate was horrible. So I was pretty happy I didn't see him, but like, walking into Swiss, I think I played 1, 2, 3, 4 NLK, 1 Royal, 1 Lua, or something around those lines. Yeah. So it was a matter of how to beat the mirror, and if you can beat the mirror, you're fine, right? So draw good, and you're fine. And pretty much it was a very damage controlling format. So pretty much one counter blast would literally blow up a deck. So a lot of draw past turn, try to draw the stuff that you need, and then just pop off. So I guess I did well in that respect. But yeah, just took NOK because I guess it's one of my main clans, and it's just a fun deck to play for me.
Is your deck ran Yellow Bolt as well?
Yes.
So like it's slightly different from a lot of the other builds out there. Do you want to go into that, or just have a quick chat on that?
So I saw quite a few decks there, quite a few NLKs. I think there was one that played Yellow Bolt, but yeah, he dropped off the face of the earth. But anyway,
I beat him round 1.
Yeah, I think it was the guy round 1. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my deck played Yellow Bolt, and it also played Tragic Claw to be able to accelerate for a grade 3 loop. Now, similar to what Toby said, if you push aggression early, like if you play against Ripples, you get slaughtered. So obviously when you ride to grade 3, you want that loop access and then pretty much loop them out of the game. And that's the power of Yellow Bolt, to be able to do that. Once you get Yellow Bolt in starting hand, you drop it, rest, and then pretty much all the way up to grade 3, you get 3 free soul charge, and then add it on top whatever Tragic Claw and whatever other soul charging cards you have, you just fill up your soul and just loop. Yeah, so it was just, I guess, a measure for speed in my deck in comparison to some other decks that use like Broccolocus. Mine did run Serpent Charmer. I was pretty close to taking it out, but it's a nice luxury card to have. But yeah.
Okay, all right. I guess I'll talk about my NLK deck. Nothing that special. It's pretty much Kevin Cho's build. I think the Stride deck is slightly different. It's kind of funny because me and Mark were practicing a lot, and then eventually we were running like Free Travelers and all that, and just slowly became just Kevin Cho's deck. So, because just the card choices were just better. So that was that. For the day, I only played against NLKs and Shadow Paladins, and then against Shadow Paladins, I played all the Shadow Paladins I played except Ken just damage denied me and kept me at 0, because they probably thought it was like a rush build, like Solemn's build, but it wasn't. So it just took forever until I started drawing Bobos, and then against the No Life Kings was kind of the same. Just it's people passing turns because everyone knows what each other's deck is.
Please, no more hour events.
Yeah. Hour long events are really fun. My loss was to like Derick and Swiss. So and okay. And then the other one was to Ken, actually. The only Shadow Paladin who did not damage deny me. He just slammed down the main, flipped the full field, crit me, and I just died. Like so. Ken's deck was, I think it's just a Loire deck. I think it's similar to Haptism's build that he won with. It runs the mains, and then he runs, I think it's like 6 crit, 6 draw.
Yeah, he doesn't play below ours.
Okay, yeah, he took them out for 10. He took them out for 10k triggers. Which are good because he rushes anyway. Every game he like rushes, he's trying to win. Except the one he lost in top 8. And then Kelvin's DI ran some free travelers. I think he ran the Ullakurlas.
Yeah.
And he ran free burgers.
Free traveler.
Yeah. You'll see his deck list posted soon, I think, so can see it more in depth. But I think that's just a quick rundown on that. Interesting enough, I think in that event there was like 2 or 3 Gizes, was there? Like not hardly any Gize presence.
Yeah, that's pretty understandable though. Just because of NLK's presence, like Gize just dies, and if they don't damage, if they don't attack, then they miss out on triggers. And if you sit on a grade 0 and they have to ride to be able to get Neon Gize off. If they attack, they're going to give you damage. So if you get 3 damage, right, that's an early Christmas present, and you pretty much just shoot them out of the game.
I think the only exception is my deck, right?
Well, yeah.
No, but that Alfred Gize though.
Oh yeah. Someone played Alfred Gize, and then he lost pretty quickly.
I think he would everything.
I turned my back for 2 seconds because I was on buy rounds, and he's 2-0. I'm like, what? But then he
won one of his games because he's straight into Gize, and his opponent went into PBD, and I went, oh wait, I don't have any counterblasts.
I think we have a recorded game of OTT Gize versus Kelvin's DI.
Yes, we do. I think it's already up on our channel.
Okay, all right.
It's already up on our channel.
Check out our channel for that one. It's a pretty clinical rundown on how NLK beats OTT Gize. Another thing was honourary. How many honouraries did you guys see? Popular, and how did it affect you?
Plenty, man. Like literally every single deck that was not NLK literally ran honourary. Oh well, actually any deck that wasn't blasters, that wasn't NLK, ran honourary. There was so many Grand Blues that day that ran honourary. Grand Blue was actually surprising to me because I didn't expect a lot of Grand Blues, but man, there was so many.
Yeah, one Grand Blue just missed out on top 8. It's like final round on the bubble, but lost that round, so didn't make it. But how did it affect you guys? I think as NLK, did it really matter? And then blasters didn't matter at all, and I guess it doesn't matter at all for Grenoric.
I mean, I played honourary in my deck. I actually increased the number of honouraries in my deck the previous night.
Well, I was pretty lucky to be playing NLK mirrors, blasters. I think those were the only 2 decks I played the whole day outside of that one Luad instance. So I never got to see honourary. Yeah.
Okay. I saw one honourary against the Shadow, but he damaged an army because he probably thought it was Solemn Field, but then it wasn't. So, yeah, long games. But speaking of long games and damage in our formats, we have our MVP of the entire event, and it's called Bobo. Probably the MVP of Premium now. The most important card in Premium is probably Bobo. It's like your deck either plays Bobo or doesn't play Bobo. I know, Derick, you ran 4 Bobos. What do you think of Bobo?
Oh man, that guy is a lifesaver. So I think Kelvin's deck ran 3. Now, the previous night, I played a lot of games with Andy, and my win rate was trash. And I was playing 3 Bobo, and I felt the need for 4, especially if you're trying to dig using the cat stand trigger with DI and Ghoulish the Spoiler to just grab it from Soul. That card is legit. Like, it breaks everything. Yeah, it's just so good. So that's why I ran that at 4. I don't think a lot of decks around the world run 4 Bobos, but just the utility on that card in this format is ridiculous. So, yeah, that's why I ran 4.
Toby, did you run Bobos?
I did not. I decided to just to go with my normal strat, because half of it was the mind games factor, because a lot of the Royal Paladins would play Bobos, and just to go with the mind games, just saying, just attack me because I'll run Bobos and do that, just knowing that I don't have to worry about finding Bobos, I can just do my combo pieces. That's basically it.
Yeah, I think the other shadow, not shadow, the other blaster that top ran Bobos.
Yes, he did.
And then Andy, did you run Bobos?
Yeah, I played 4
Gizeh deck?
Bobos, man. Yeah, 4 Bobos. I can get a damage check on my turn. It's an extra damage trigger, and I think one of the biggest reason why I played Bobo was every time I lost with my deck is because my opponent didn't give me counterblast. So they actually, who would have thought that damage denial against a Gizeh deck would be the way to go? I mean, it's new. Yeah, because like the core part of my deck is Optorandus. I played 4 Optorandus, and I need to Optorandus you every turn or I'm dead. And the best thing about Optorandus is if your opponent is not set up, they don't have regards, they're only like attacking with your Vanguard. And sometimes if you're not gambling, you're hoping that they don't crit you and just guard it. And if you're on like 3 or less damage, you can just play Bobo, and that literally gives you 2 counterblasts, which is perfect for Optorandus. So yeah, Bobo was amazing. Except people didn't damage deny me, so I never got to use it.
David, what are your thoughts on Bobo? Premium expert.
I also play 4 Bobo, like personally in my deck, like over other cards. I think Bobo was more important, equal to the level of the players. Like the better the player you face, the more likely for them to deny you damage. So that's why Bobo is more important. Like I think like in the matchup between DI mirrors, right? Whoever draw more Bobos faster, gonna win the game. Aside from Bobo, I think against NLK, I'm talking about the point of view of like someone who playing against NLK. So we're talking about honourary in this case. So like saw and read a lot of posts outside there and saying that, honourary it's not really important against NLK. You can just deny their assassin and their Vanguard to slow swing for big number. Not partially wrong, but not partially true as well. I think most of the deck that can do well against NLK, especially with honourary, requires like some number of like other key parts. For example, protect decks, they will definitely do well against NLK, added the honourary on it. Or decks that can play like a lot of nullifiers and defensive cards like Ange. And they will like generally do well against NLK. So stuff like Luard can recycle the nullify. Ange has 6 nullifiers. AJ Guardians can do well against NLKs. You can drop the honour as well from the hand with the G Guardian. Grand Blue, as you guys said, I think I'll play against 2 Grand Blue players for practice before the BCS starts. So Alex Kaleha and Wilbert Yap. I think Wilbert play 1 honourary. I'm not sure about how many honourary Alex played, but it's pretty annoying to face as NLK since they're protect decks and they generally have like a bigger hands than like most of the normal decks. And if as NLK you deny them the first damage from the start, it means that you're going to start attacking when they're at 0 damage. And 0 damage usually, like if you take the Vanguard attacks, it's like 1 damage. And 2 crits from Vanguard restanding, that's like 1, 2, and 2. So efficiently, you're just going to give them like 2 to 3 until like 5 open CP for them to utilize their, I don't know, like Megiddo, School Dragon turns, or other Necrosonger combo as well. And with honourary in the regards, they efficiently like just going to restrict the assassin play, and it doesn't like. And we haven't talked about like how they're gonna get like defensive triggers, because they play like 10k triggers as well. So 1 damage trigger essentially like shut out one of your assassin 20k, unless you have 4, makes it like 40k. So 1 assassin's gone, and getting 40k is pretty simple as well. So that's where honourary came in as well. If they don't get like any defensive triggers, for example, like they check Banshee or Mick instead of like the 10k shields, then you're just going to poke them like a lot of times with 20k and 40ks. He's going to play the hand in the meantime, even though they can got the Vanguard attacks, right? So I think like playing honourary is pretty good for some deck. Not every deck can play it, obviously. Only like a deck that can have like a good defensive value, good shield, but also can win against NLK by any means, right? Not just like try to stall them. Do you mind if I talk about Kagero as well? Because I think like Kagero is pretty interesting as well. So like few days before the national start, I think I'll play with Kai and Derick as well. So we try NLK against Kagero. Because Cho from his ARG, I think he said something like Kagero is pretty annoying to face. He lost a game against Kagero in best of 3. And we also thought that like, yeah, Kagero and maybe like Link Joker, Freeze Ray is a pretty annoying matchup against NLK. Because we tried to find something like what's going to hinder NLK in this BCS apart from like Royals or NLK Mirror. So we thought like Kagero, yeah, let's try Kagero. I think at first when Cho said like, oh, it's pretty annoying, I was thinking like, yeah, it's just annoying in some sense, like you just got denied and like, just recover. We thought Kagero being able to finish, but when we actually tried to play the game, right, it's actually way more than annoying. It's just like Kagero makes NLK like being so far behind to the point that I think trying to do the loop is not an option anymore. I think Kai tried to demagogue and dust me. Derick also tried to do Better Mouse play as well. I don't think anything works that day. So yeah, coming to the day, it was pretty worrying regarding Kagero as well. Some people asked me if they should play Kagero for the national, because it just has like such a good matchup against NLK. But ultimately, in the end of the day, we think that Kagero is pretty risky to be brought into BCS, because even though it won against NLK, you just can't do anything against other decks. You can't do anything against Kize, you can't do anything against Luard. Royal, I don't know, probably like 50-50. It depends on how the Royal solid in sacks. But yeah, most of the time you will lose against the other decks. So we don't think that it's like a good option to be played. So I think most of the guys who ask me, they just play either Grand Blue or NLK in the end of the day. Are we talking about the Pale Moon deck, Kai?
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So there was that Pale Moon deck that top 8'd. I'm sure there's people who knows a lot more about Pale Moon here, but what do you think of Pale Moon in Premium?
Okay, so actually I'm gonna start it off. This build was actually super smart. Okay, so some of the key cards that Minhyu, the guy who played Pale Moon, there was some key cards that he used. So Honourary was one. He also used the new Peekaboo, which is the PR, and he uses the Harry engine. So the reason why he told me that he used the Harry engine is to have access to Magia. And to have access to Magia means you can G-Guard to be able to call out units from your soul, right? And this also means that because you're using Harry, you have access to Lovely Companion, which is also another card that brings a card out from soul. So essentially, it's similar to how Ange can call out Honourary using a G-Guard, except in this case, you have 8 options rather than the 4 or 8 G-Guardians. Well, yeah, the 8 G-Guardians that Ange has, you have 6. I think, no. 6. So 4 PGs and 2 G-Guards. I don't know how many PGs. I think he ran 3 and then 1 single draw trigger to be able to use the Dragon G-Guard to be able to free PG. The other card he used was the Dark Elemental, which is, I think his name is Bicken. So pretty much what Bicken is, it's a perfect guard if your opponent's Vanguard is attacking in extra time on their turn, right? So essentially the game plan was he uses the Dragon G-Guard to be able to soul charge 1 and call out Bicken to perfect guard NLK. So he has he's got 4 perfect guards along with 2 G-Guards to be able to guard NLK. He has Honourary to kill off the rear guard assassin swings, which makes it pretty much easier for him to guard, right? And Happiness Collector is your draw engine. So pretty much he draws until he hits those pieces, and then feels comfortable enough and just rushes the NLK player. And by that time, NLK will have a sufficiently low deck, and not being able to slap with your rearguard assassins pretty much leaves the Vanguard at 70k, where it's just perfect guardable, right? So he has access to so many perfect guards to just pretty much go out at the NLK swings, which made his deck super good against NLK. The peekaboo that he plays, I don't think is too relevant in the NLK matchup, but more in the blasters. So peekaboo, when he's called out, can retire an opponent's rearguard. So peekaboo can disrupt an assassin. It can also disrupt local crits, and it can pretty much disrupt like Dagdas or anything that pretty much allows the player to have an extra attack. And that deck was just flawless. Like, that deck was so well thought out, and yeah, just credits to him. It was an amazing deck.
I think one of the strongest combo in that deck is being able to attack with one counterblast. One counterblast gives it like something like 3 extra attacks, and especially when he's on a dust turn, it's pretty hard to deal with. And I think that caught a lot of people off guard, as I can see that a lot of people just weren't able to deal with his dust turn, and he just like has like 3 counterblast face up. That's like an extra 9 attacks on top of whatever he has already.
So using the Alice combo in with that, I think the Nightmare Doll Leslie, to be able to constantly restand, and pretty much after attacking, he can call out Periton to call out Trapezes, and then just loop around for multiple attacks. And it's just utterly ridiculous on a dust turn. And he has also access to Sky High Walker, which allows him to unflip damage. So pretty much 1 unflip damage, like Andy said, is like 3 attacks, potentially 4 if you have Misdirection Insult.
Yeah, well, we're actually fortunate enough to have a recorded game of that recorded. It will be up on our channel soon. Unfortunately, it is against Gize, which is not a favorite matchup for him. But, you know, it gives everybody a chance to actually see what this deck is about and how it plays. And, yeah, as Derick said, it is actually a very, very well thought out deck, and it caught a lot of people off guard on that day.
David, do you know much about this deck?
So he's actually like one of my good friends from Melbourne. He's always been the type of a guy who's really creative, I say, in terms of like deck buildings. Plays like a lot of like combos and weird cards, and we also practice a lot. So he's actually like trying to make Harry works. I mean, Pale Moon works in general for premium. So we discuss about like how to make like premium Harry works in these NLK metas, and I was saying like just try to mix it with like Alice, Axel, and because like I still remember during BD14 meta when there was like the CTP, Adipratama and stuff, I lost to this Harry deck, like lost really hard with GC, even though I got like a Heritage turn, and the pluses and the Out of Soul combo combined with the, I think the juggler thingy against that like 2k for every cuts comes up from Soul. Do you know what's the name, Derick?
Intensive Spicy Clown, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Like calls it and like makes the Vanguard like 20 something k. It's like really big, and continuously drawing cards with the Happiness Collector as well, and ending the game with 4 stand triggers in the deck with Dust Turn. Like when I saw him like tops and like is he using like Pale Moon? I'm like, yeah, this is probably like similar deck, the one that you used at that time, except he's playing Axel, which makes it like more busted. And the fact that I don't think a lot of people expect he's playing that, as well as a Bikun, because we have like discussion as well about Bikun. I think he asks, he posts like in Vanguards if like you can use Bikun against NLK or something like that. I was like, are you trying to use that in your deck? And he's like, yeah, maybe, right. I was thinking like, I think it's better to play Honourary, but I think in the end he played both Honourary and Bikun, which makes it like, yeah, super scary. So yeah, it's good stuff for him to be able to get a top. I'm pretty happy as well.
All right. I think that should just wrap up about premium for Melbourne BCS. Let's just quickly go into answer of truth and how it's going to affect worlds. Let's talk quickly about standard, I guess. Standard.
Can.
Start with that.
I think that'll be me and Toby's area, right? Since we two are the standard players for Worlds.
I can give you
That's
guys
right.
some backups because I've been playing Answer of the Truth for at least a month already since the Jap out because I'm in Indo at the moment and we have the Japanese format right now. Yeah,
That's true.
let's go.
Yeah. All right. So let's go clan by clan, I guess. All right. Let's start off with your favorite clan, Toby. GC. Gear Chronicles.
Poor Gear Chronicle.
Yeah. Yeah. I tested that deck a bit. It works well when you draw all your combo pieces. It does not do anything if you don't see any of your combo pieces. And the only problem is every single card in that deck is a combo piece. Like all your greats is a combo piece.
I think.
And then
the problem with GC, right? That the one that I play is just when you draft check into your grade 4 and I'm oh shit, I don't have any more grade 4 left in the deck. And I left the grade 1 that can return my grade 4 back to deck from bottom deck. I mean from drop zone to bottom deck. That's oh GG. And what's left? You have the other grade 4, the one that bottom deck something from opponent's regard. That's it, right? No triple threat for you. It's GG. Next game.
Yeah. And another thing is a lot of your grade 1s actually don't do anything.
Yeah.
So apart from the grade 1 that recycles your grade 4s, you have the other one which is like a strike fodder, and then you have another grade 1 that just doesn't actually do much. So overall, I think Gear Chronicles is the weakest of the three. Unfortunate.
Pretty much.
I personally don't think we'll see much representation of Gear Chronicles at Worlds, especially because it's actually on the release weekend, and I don't think anyone's going to go out of their way to build a Gear Chronicle deck for Worlds, unless they're fanatics.
Hey, added to the fact that you need to write the what's it called, the grade tree?
Lost Legend.
Yeah, you want to write Lost Legend, right? And there's only 4 copies of it in the deck, and I don't think there's a way to search it, right? I'm strat for the get my Chrono Jet, right? Yeah. Either you write it or you GSS or you die.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I've played a game where I G-assisted for 4 turns.
Yeah. That's not optimal, man.
Yeah, and I've also never got to 19 total grade bound with to get my extra turn.
So hard.
Most of the times the game will end whether you have at least 13. You can get the 10k effects. All units gets 10k, but that's it pretty much.
Yeah. I guess the next one is let's talk about Genesis.
Yeah.
What do you? So we've tested Genesis a little bit. It has the same problems as Gear Chronicles, where you need to see your combo pieces for it to do well. But the combo pieces required is a lot easier to pull off than Gear Chronicles. However, it does run into the same problem as Gear Chronicles, where you need to write a specific grade 3. At least the build we're playing. But if you get all your combo pieces, amazing.
Yeah. So the problem I have with the standard format in that matter of it being a Lux sack format, and there's decks around that require you to have combo pieces, or a deck that doesn't need combo pieces can just do whatever it has so much easier, like Neonectar just calls whatever it wants, and then Sax has a much easier time than having Genesis have to dig for exactly what it needs and have Struggle City. It's just not the same thing.
What about Great Nature?
Great Nature is actually pretty good.
Yeah, I actually think Great Nature is the best one out of Answer of Truth for standard. The one thing about Axel Clan is any Axel Clan that generates advantage is amazing. So stuff like Murakumo, where they get to clone or core cards, Tachikaze by adding the gauge to hand, and then now we have Great Nature with Leopold. where you just mill the top card. If it's a normal unit, you get to look at top 4 and core 2. That's pretty nuts, especially when you're rewriting on top of grade 3. You're getting an extra Axel circle. You're doing it twice, and if you hit a trigger against 50k and crit, it's like nothing wrong with that. And also, you're just randomly adding cards to hand with what's that grade 1? Counterblast 1.
Tank Mouse.
Yeah, you're randomly adding cards to your hand with Tank Mouse. Just lets you survive a lot of the different matchups. So, if anything, I think we'll see more Great Nature as opposed to the other 2 clans at Worlds.
And geographic fandom, man.
Like,
Such a huge.
yeah, so out like kind of feel the same way. Out of all the 3 G clans in there, Great Nature seems like the best.
It has the best sort of skill set on all of its units in the deck that it's in. Like, a lot of them are just amazing, like I understand. But the draw-off that I have, again, is the fact that most of your games are a lot more RNG comparative to all the other decks as well. Because I don't feel confident in the fact of having to grind every single round, having to try and RNG the combo every time. Especially the fact of, like, going to Leopold, you're against, say, like, I don't know, Force, and they haven't done anything to your field, and you have a full field, and you've used Leopold twice and get pretty much just call 4 more units again over the top. Like, oh, great. I actually wanted to crit here because I know it has no null, but I just call more units, sure. I think that's a bit out of the control.
I think like one thing is that in a team format, these 3 decks, these 3 clans are really good. Like, well, they're decent like third deck choices for your team. But then if you're going individuals, it's like why take this? Why do I take these decks?
Yeah. Like
Okay.
I was actually. Yeah, like the last thing about Great Nature is like playing like Protect clans against Great Nature is actually pretty surprising at how fast that deck can dismantle you.
As long as they draw Leopold.
Oh, and also I think what's good to get Great Nature is that like you can play actually like 2 different builds, right? One with Hamster and the other one is like Leopold. And you can play like what's the grade 3 name? Malmoton. The Soul Plus 1 grade 3 gets like everything gets 10k in front row. That guy's pretty nuts as well, especially if you combine it with the Bison in structure. Restand your Geographic Giant. Oh man, pretty crazy.
Alright.
Okay, let's have a quick chat about Premium then. Answer of Truth for Premium. Long story short, what's happening?
Nothing happens, right?
Like, outside of One Punch Great Nature. One Punch Great Nature with that Rhino and the Monoculus Tiger, that's pretty ridiculous. But I mean, we've seen a similar combo in Mega Colony with Antlion and Phantom Black, so I don't think there's anything new there. GC Gize is pretty meh, especially if you're looking into NLK. Or actually, the more relevant set is actually Ultra Rare. Like, Gold Paladin is ridiculous. Like that.
Yep.
I don't know. Like, I don't know about you guys, but Gold Paladin it's ridiculous. It's just jaw dropping. That, like, the fact that you get access to superior riding and then striding while your opponent's grade 2 with no cost, as opposed to like Ange where you have to have 1 counterblast. Yeah, it just breaks everything open, and it's Excel, so more power on rear guards. That's the deck to look out for.
So basically what you're saying is the answer of truth is Ultra Rare.
It's irrelevant.
Yeah,
Pretty unlucky. Like, unless it's the Miyachi set, which comes out for the WGP format in Japan. I don't think nothing much like change from the Ultra Rare. I think people will stick from Ultra Rare set for both standard and premium. But unless someone like feel like janky enough, tips to play like CTP Kize or like GC Kize.
Okay, so I guess we'll head towards wrapping this chat up. But just on what's a rundown on Worlds, I guess. We have quite a few people attending. I think our numbers are all now since Melbourne was the last one. For Premium, I think we have 6 players. There's like Kevin, Steven, Derick, Togan, Levi, and I think Kelvin's taking that. And then for Standard, we have Andy, Toby, Duncan, Bryson, and Mikkel. Is that correct? Yeah.
Yep.
And then we have several other games. We have Japanese Vanguard. We have Jonathan Aptism. We've got Body Fight. There's a Ray going there. And then for WS, there's me and Mark. So we've got quite a lot of people going to Worlds for this year. Hopefully, we'll have a good, nice chat in Japan and meet more people. And we'll try and vlog that and get some good videos up.
I'll be vlogging. Feel free to come up and say hi to me. Just look for me with my camera. Just say hi, and yeah.
Okay.
And then on the channel, right? Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Like and subscribe. Yeah, don't forget
that.
Yeah.
I think for our next podcast, probably we will do some more detailed World content from everyone who participate in Worlds, and me and Albert Huang will do a special feature during Worlds, and you guys can wait with that one.
Okay. All right. We'll head to so everyone here. If you've got any shout outs and thanks to anyone in particular or any peoples in particular, Andy, start with you again.
Shout out to WCC pretty much. Kai, everyone in Sydney helping play tests, getting ready for Melbourne, all that stuff. Shout out to my store, Good Games Hurstville, for supplying the products for all the Sydney players. And yeah, that's it.
Toby?
So just shout out to everyone who's been helping me sort of prepare for Worlds at the moment, going through the talks about what to play, what the best picks are, the good and the bad. Yeah, and thanks to the guys going to be in the local community in Toowoomba as well before Worlds, who are going to be supplying me with the cards I need to actually play in Worlds for the new format, so that'll be great. So thank you.
Derick?
Shout out to Kyoto again in France. Shout out to Kelvin Yap, actually. We started talking yesterday about how to conquer Worlds for Premium. It's going to be a hard trek, but hopefully we'll get it done. Obviously, shout out to WCC. And actually, shout out to Just Cards Trading Cards here in Perth for supplying me with that buy card. That buy card was not 2 rounds. It was more than that. So it was more than 2 rounds. But yeah. Just shout out to them, and and Stephen Lee, that guy really helped me heaps. Just pretty much talked me in, and just baited me into using his own deck, kinda, and yeah.
Okay, and I guess that will be the end of podcast 3 for World Class Card Fighters. If you like what you see and you want more, just like and subscribe, and hopefully we'll put one out.
Don't forget to leave a comment.
Yeah, don't forget to leave a comment if you like the video, and then if you didn't like the video, also like a comment and subscribe.
Just comment whatever. Just even if you dislike, or have nothing constructive to say, or if you just want to type a random bunch of words, just leave a comment anyway, because that's how YouTube works.
Hey, and whoever needs consultation always comes to our page. We are Perfect Consulting.
Yep.
Great page.
All right, everyone. Have a good night. See you later.
Yeah.
See you guys.